After completing this lesson, you'll be able to work with shape editing tools, create a shaft opening, and edit a floor profile. The objective domains covered are 1.1b, work with structural floors. Shape editing tools can be utilised on structural floors to enable a series of complex facets to be created. With the use of the split line, you can ensure that the facets remain planar and are not warped. In the example below, you can see a basement slab with a point added to the centre of the slab for drainage. This can be applied to one layer of the slab, in this case the screed. Shaft openings are a convenient and fast method of adding vertically aligned openings through multiple floors. Symbolic lines can be drawn that automatically appear on each floor that is cut by the opening. Go ahead and open up the model 009, Work with Structural Floors Part 2. You'll note that the model opens up in the lift pit plane. Let's go ahead and zoom up on our core. Our first task is to create a slope on a slab to help with drainage in the bottom of our lift pit. To model the floor, on the structure ribbon, select the floor command. In the properties palette, click the type selector and ensure that our 3-inch screed on 8-inch RC slab is set. Before we go ahead and model with this, let's take a look at how this slab is set up. Select the Edit Type button, and then go ahead and select Edit. In the Edit Assembly dialog box, let's ensure that we're looking at a preview. And you can see here that we have two layers in our core boundary. We have our concrete, which is 8 inches thick, and on top of that, we then have a screed sitting on the slab. But you'll note that we also have this variable option over here. So this variable option is going to allow us to shape edit just this layer. So the concrete will stay flat and level, and the screed will then have a fall angle to produce the fall for our drainage. Okay, let's click OK, and OK again to the Type Properties dialog. Our total slab thickness is 11 inches. Let's set the height offset from level to 11 inches. We'll then go ahead and select the rectangle tool to create the boundary for our slab. Let's now go ahead and finish edit mode. So our slab is now created. We're now going to utilise the shape editing tools on the context ribbon. Note that we have a tool here called Add Point. Let's select Add Point, and we'll place a point in the centre of our slab. Now this point needs to be accurately placed, so we're going to use Align Dimensions to make sure that the point is correctly dimensioned. You may need to use the Tab key here to cycle through selections. So once again, I'll use the Tab key. And now we're going to set the position. So I can select my point, click on the dimension, and I'm going to use a little formula here. So we'll say equals 9 feet and 3 inches divided by 2. And of course that sets the point into the centre of the slab in this direction. We'll repeat that over here. So again, we can make this equal to 6 feet and 2 inches and divide that by 2. And our point is now secure in the centre. Let's go ahead and select that point, and here I'm going to drop this down -2 inches. And you'll now notice that our slab is falling to the centre point. To help us understand what we've modelled, let's create a section. We'll sketch the section horizontally across the screen, but we want to make sure that the section is aligned to that point that we've just placed. So we can go ahead and use the Align command. Again, I can use the Tab key to go and pick up our shape editing point, and then pick the section. So we'll then go ahead and look at that section. We can change the scale and the detail level. And here you can see our concrete slab with the screed with the fall angles over the top. Okay. Next, we go ahead and create a shaft opening. let's go and open up the top of foundation plan. So here we're going to create our shaft opening. On the structure ribbon, click shaft. This is a mode-driven command, and you'll note we have two modes. We have the boundary line mode, which is where we define the planned shape of our structural opening, and then we also have the symbolic line mode, where we can draw the opening graphics that we would like to see on each floor. In the properties palette, we can set our level for the base constraint and also the top constraint where our shaft opening is going to stop. So in our case here, you can see that it's going to go from the top of foundation up to ground floor. I need to edit this. We need to have the shaft opening going all the way up to the 4th floor. Okay, so we're now ready to create our boundary line opening. So we'll select the rectangle tool and we can sketch our opening. You'll note here that when I sketch the opening, I'm creating it on the outside of my structural walls. The structural walls will form the cores. We can then select the symbolic line option, and I can sketch in here my opening graphics. Now when I do this on the options bar, it's preferable to remove the chain option, as you generally just want to draw single lines. Okay, so we'll just sketch those symbolic lines in, like so. Our sketch is now complete, and we just simply now click the Finish Edit mode. Let's go up to the 1st floor just to take a look at our plane graphics, and you can now see the opening graphics are showing in that level. If we open up the sectional view, we can now see a shaft is in place. If I ever want to edit the shaft, you'll notice that I can select it in plane or section, and I can then edit the vertical extents of the shaft utilising the Properties palette, or click Edit Sketch and change the plane representation of my shaft. Finally, we'll edit the profile of our 1st floor slab to create some drainage pipe openings. So let's click back to our 1st floor plane, and you'll note here that we can select the edge of our floor. Once that's done, on the ribbon, you'll note we can edit boundary. I can now zoom into my boundary, and here I want to add some circular openings to my slab. So here I can click the circle tool, and we'll sketch a 3-inch opening, which will give me a 6-inch diameter hole. And I'm going to copy that. So I want 12 inches between these holes, like so. And then my 3 openings created. Of course, what I can then do is move them into the correct position, and then go ahead and select the Finish Edit mode. I'm going to say no because I don't want to attach these walls. And there's my slab. To help us understand how this may look, let's go into the 3D view. And in the 3D view, with the slab still selected, I can isolate the view. So I'm going to select Temporary Hide Isolate, and we just want to isolate this single element. So you'll now see my shaft opening incorporated in here, as well as my opening through the single 1st floor slab. Okay,